But I think, first of all, before we start this rally, I want to say a few things about what this is first. This is the biggest NHS picket line that I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's also, some of you have been, a lot of you are there to listen to Christina McAnee, like with Unison's number 2, even though we're not supposed to have a hierarchy. She's number 2, and she was the head of health nationally for a lot of years. It's the biggest picket line she's ever seen, and it wasn't half as big as it was the day before. The main thing is though, everybody is observing the strike, and that's the biggest thing of the lot. We've got a trickle of people going in. At the end of the day, we started last year this campaign. We balloted just over 200 people, and we just missed the ballot threshold that the government requires us to do to get a lawful strike. This time round, we balloted 313. We've now got 360 members, and nearly every single one of those members is observing the strike. Not only that, it's absolutely magnificent, it's unprecedented. Nearly everybody volunteering for picket duty, and the stalwarts like Mike, who we'll hear from later, will tell you how unusual that is. And I think we all know why that's happening. We're doing it because we care about the NHS. We care about those patients, we care about our communities, and we don't want to see privatisation of our jobs or anybody else's. And I think we'll get a bit, when Amy comes on later, we'll say a little bit about where we might go in this if we need to. But I tell you this, the Trust have made a lot of wrong assumptions in the last year. They thought when we didn't meet the ballot threshold last time round that they had an easy job. All we needed to do was set up the company, do a bit of work, and all the momentum was gone. That was wrong. They thought then, earlier in this year, all they had to do was come out and sell you some shoddy guarantees about 25 years. 25 years. What maintains for 25 years? People have done double murders and got out quicker than 25 years. It's rubbish, and it needs to be ridiculed. It's absolute rubbish, and you haven't bought it, like some of you. Sadly, some of the people in York bought that line, but you haven't. They thought they'd swallow that, they were wrong. They then thought, well, they'll never get over that ballot threshold. They'll never get 50% of people voting for strike action, when 97% result, they were wrong. What you don't know is we've been trying to put a lot of pressure on through people like Christina and the head of health nationally, Sarah Gorton, on the government, and Matt Hancock's, you can hiss now if you like, the Matt Hancock's department did contact us, and I think really they've tried to pull them back, but they think they can do what they want because they're a foundation trust. But they said to the DOH, there'll be less than 200 people strike. Again, wrong. I've also heard today that they thought that the strike would collapse by Wednesday. Wrong. But sadly, the thing that they were most wrong about is the fact that people like Fahim Lal have kept saying in the media that they can provide a normal service. Well, anybody who looks at the disgrace that's going on in the hospitals, which we hope our MPs are going to raise, because we don't want to get blamed for their mess. Anybody who sees what's going on, the disgrace of getting in rent-a-kill of people who can't do the job properly. Putting patients at risk. Wrong. So, having said that, I want to sort of lighten us up a bit, really, because we're in a good place. I think we're winning this, So let's all cheer up. I want to introduce a great son of Bradford, the great Jack Carroll.
Hiya. Lovely to be here. They said we come and have a word with the strikers, which I was very happy to do, but they didn't tell me about the access situation outside, which I thought I was doing some sort of benefits assessment. I mean, I don't know. I had to sort of do like a free running leap down a load of stairs. And then sort of march from the back of the room and arrive at the stage sort of semi out of breath. So if I do end up getting my benefits stopped, then I'm blaming Unison. I mean, I was all for unions before, but now I'm gonna lose out. So, but no, it's great to be here. I will sort of keep things relatively short, but I think it's fantastic to be here because you know, ultimately it is this is the great thing that you're doing is helping to maintain the sanctity of the National Health Service, which, as we all know, is socialism in action. It's, you know, tangible human compassion, and you know, a very sort of practical level enhances, saves and enriches lives. So I think, as it has done with mine. So very well done to you all. And you know, without that, we would be in a lot worse place. So yeah, I do think that ultimately, you know, it has helped my life a lot. Like last year, because of the NHS, basically I had a surgery when I was 6 years old on my spine, which I got on the NHS, which enabled me to walk. They've now taken that off the service. You'd have to go to America and pay stupid amounts of money to get it done. So that just shows, even in my lifetime, that there's been a sort of gradual erosion of the thing as well. But I do feel that it's enhanced my quality of life. Last year I learned to ski. I can see a few of you thinking, can Northerners go skiing? We can. Well, my skiing instructor had much the same reaction as you lot when I rocked up in the frame. He was like, "What, you? Really? Does he know he's disabled? Has anyone sat him down and took..." Well, they're not going to stand him up, are they? That would be counterproductive. But I did. I learned to ski, stood up, all because really at that route of the intervention of the NHS. And most people, I think, in my position, if that happened to them, most people would be thinking, as the wind was flowing through the hair and the snow was crunching underneath their feet, most people would be thinking, what a fantastic achievement that is against all the odds. I thought, I'm gonna lose some benefits. And I just had to throw myself over in case the government were watching. Better safe than sorry, innit? You can never be too careful. So I sort of had to jog slowly up this aisle. But no, I think in summary, I just want to say that I'm humbled by the sort of amount of compassion and solidarity that sort of greeted me in this ornate gold room. That's something like something out of the Vatican. And yeah, very well done to everyone here, and thanks to for having me along. And yeah, long may it continue, because it is, as I say, I think a truly great thing that you're doing, and you should all be very, very proud of yourselves. So thank you very much.
Right, I think what we want to talk about and what we're all hoping to be talking about, and I'm confident we are going to be talking about in a few days, maybe we won't have to do weeks, but I think a few days' time is winning.
Yes! Yes!
So, I want to introduce our next speaker who's going to tell us something about winning. She's Bri from our Doncaster Sodexo members.
So I just want to say it's really nice to see so many of you out on them picket lines, because that's what it needs. It needs you all to be out there together as a team, showing them inside exactly what you can do. And you can do it. We went out, we did it, we stood solidarity together on them lines to show them inside we were going to win that strike. We were going to go out there, we were going to do it, and that's exactly what we did. As the lowest paid department in the NHS, at Doncaster Royal Infirmary, Sodexo came in, took us over, private company. We went with it, terms and conditions changed. We just decided we needed to strike, we needed to show them in there that we were going to stand. We weren't going to just be mauled over, we were going to do it, and that's exactly what we did. Even it came to like the lowest paid of us, not getting paid some days to be out there. But we did, we went out there as a team, we stood and we did it. And we showed every single one of them inside when it were crumbling that we were doing it. And we did exactly what you guys need to do. You all need to stand together and do it. And stand as a team, all of you. Solidarity. So, just from every single one of us at Sodexo, at Doncaster Royal Infirmary, just want to give you all, you can do it. Just go out there and do it as a team and just show them that the NHS is important to all of us. We love to work for the NHS. We're proud to work for the NHS. You guys need to start that, and you've done that, and carry it on. So just carry it on. Thank you.
Thanks, Brooke. We started there with like about 40 people, ended up with nearly everybody in the union, and I think one of the things about that Sodexo thing is this is where we go, where you people who've worked in the NHS nearly all their careers. They provide a vital service in terms of feeding people decent food, and then a multinational comes in like Sodexo, and guess what Sodexo are a massive version of? They're a massive version of a wholly owned subsidiary company. They're owned by the French government. That doesn't make them nice. They're not nice. They slash terms and conditions, and they're happy to feed crap food and bring in crap standards, and that's what we're all fighting against. So if anybody says everything's going to be okay in the wholly owned subsidiary, the fact is it's a business model which allows people to allows NHS trusts to trade outside of NHS boundaries, and once they get, if they were successful, which they won't be, they haven't really got a proper business plan to do anything other than fix a couple of church doors. But if there was, every single year one of your pensions would be at risk, because if you get to 50% of non-NHS work, you're not allowed in the pension scheme anymore. So if they're successful, you lose your pensions anyhow. So Sodexo really shows us what big public sector subcos look like, and they're monsters, and they need to be fought against. And Brooke and her colleagues were an inspiration. They fought and they bloody won, and that was great. And we're going to do the same. Next thing I want to do, I want to introduce an old friend of mine. I don't think he would mind being called a veteran campaigner, because maybe I'm getting that way as well. But Mike's long been a trade union campaigner. He was long a leading member of the Kirklees local government branch. Fought many massive campaigns, such as a huge victory we had a few years ago, working together with Kirklees and the nursery nurses in Kirklees. Then were the days we got a 25% pay rise for them, didn't we? But most recently he continues to be a leading light in bringing our hospital campaigns together under the umbrella of health campaigns together, which is now, I think, the national chair, Mike. I thought you were. He's done a lot of great work working with Unison in terms of saving Huddersfield Royal Infirmary, making sure we've got A&E provision across Kirklees, or it's at least continuing to defend it. So I'll give you over to Mike Foster.
Well, there's a lot of you, isn't there? Couldn't tell from the front. Thanks for the introduction, Tony. We had a meeting of our campaign group last night, our annual general meeting where 40 turned up, and they wanted me to bring solidarity greetings to you all for the tremendous campaign that you're having, and also solidarity greetings from Health Campaigns Together, which is the national umbrella organisation for all the health campaigns in the country. We came over on Monday morning and we went back with less, because we brought a megaphone and we've lost it. I think Hammy wore out the batteries after the first day. So you're welcome to carry on using our megaphone, but I don't think I'm going to be able to prise it from his grasp now. But please use that. But obviously, we know that you're going to win. We have enormous... I'll explain why I think you're going to win in a minute. We've got enormous admiration and support for this fight. But I wanted to explain why we feel it's necessary to support each other in these struggles, which I think you know. Because in this health campaign that we're involved in around the country, we see a bigger picture. And the wholly owned subsidiary companies are they're not just a tax scam, which they are for NHS bosses, but they're also a thin edge that's been driven into the National Health Service to try and privatise the whole of the NHS. That is what this government is trying to do, whilst they're saying at the same time that the NHS is safe in their hands. Well, if it's safe in their hands, why is it underfunded? Why are we facing cuts in every hospital? And why are they trying to close hospitals in every town and city? We are now, in this country, in terms of gross domestic product compared to the number of people in this country, we pay less for our NHS than any other European country. That's a scandal. And the reason why the government is now bringing in the private companies is because they want to make more money out of the NHS for their friends who are in high places and will guarantee to them bigger investment returns. Private companies like Sodexo that Brooke was talking about, like Serco, like Compass, of course, Virgin Healthcare. Richard Branson is in the newspaper today saying we're going to explore space, and what a great opportunity that is for investors. That's how they talk about our space now, never mind our hospitals. They are circling healthcare at the moment, and they have to be stopped. Last night we watched a film where a famous national QC barrister said, it's massive big business against ordinary people, and we need people power to stop them. And that's why we're here to support you. Because we see people here in Bradford standing together to fight for your jobs, for services, and for the NHS. And if we're going to defeat these big boys, we all need to stand together.
Right. Hey!
Let's be right. The cards are stacked in their favour. We need unity, which you've got. We need numbers, which you've got. We need determination, which you've all got. And we need an idea of where we are going. And having talked to a few on the picket line, I know where you're going. You're going back into that hospital with your heads held high, having kicked the privateers out of Bradford District General Hospital. And so we have to support each other. There's a saying in the trade union movement that an injury to one is an injury to all. But we also had a phrase in Huddersfield, because we were asked at the beginning of our campaign, I don't want to scare you. We started campaigning in 2016, and we forced the government to back down last year around the closure of our hospital. I'm not suggesting you need to be out on strike for 3 years.
We can't afford that.
At the beginning of the strike, when we were out in town asking people to support our campaign, they said, can you guarantee us that you're going to win? No. We can't give you any guarantees, but I'll give you a guarantee that if you don't fight, you'll lose. However, as Bob Crow said from the Railway Workers Union, I can guarantee you this, that if you fight, you stand a chance of winning, but if you don't fight, you're guaranteed to lose.
Correct.
And we have a saying when people come past us and say, do you know what, it's a done deal. And you'll have heard people saying that at work. It's a done deal, they'll do it. Do you know what we say back to them? It's a done deal if you do not. However, if we stand together and you support us, it's no longer a done deal. That's why we had 8,000 people marching in Huddersfield in 2016, and why we've maintained that momentum with massive public support. And I know that you have the support of the people of Bradford as well. So if you fight, you can win. It's not just the wholly owned subsidiary companies. We're saying in Health Campaigns Together, we want to kick these companies out, but we want to stop all the privatisation that's been happening inside the National Health Service. You know it's going on at the moment. Here's something else a little radical. We want to reverse all of the cuts and all of the closures so that we can maintain the entire National Health Service, not just bits of it. That is going to be a very important part of your campaign. And we're also saying we want to renationalise the National Health Service, because already those private companies that have got contracts thinks they're here to stay. And that's why we support in Health Campaigns Together the reinstatement bill, which is to reinstate the National Health Service to what it was when it was first set up in 1948. And do you know what Nye Bevan said? What Nye Bevan said when they set up the NHS was, the NHS will be here as long as there are good folk to fight for it. Yes. We are the good folk. I could go further and say, we are the good folk, and those companies are the bad folk. And I could use bad language, but I'm not going to. But they're the bad bastards.
Say it again.
Let's hope they're listening. So we have a slogan that we chant outside. We go outside our hospital every fortnight, and we chant in support of the staff, and we're continuing to show our support for keeping the hospital open. And our chant goes something like this: one fight, we all unite. It's not difficult. We say one fight, everybody else then chants, we all unite. There's another one for your picket line. One fight! Yeah! One fight! Yeah! One fight! Yeah! And that's what we need in terms of the unity and determination of this campaign. The other thing that we're demanding, that I'm sure you will agree with, and what Brooke is a victim of, is private finance initiative. I'm sure you might have heard of it. It's where companies come in and they say, we'll do you a good deal, as they did in Calderdale in Halifax. One little statistic for you. They spent £67 million refurbishing Calderdale Hospital, and the repayments at the end of 35 years will be 800 million quid. Whoa. That is like me saying to any of you, I'll lend you a quid, but I want a tenner back. Would anybody enter into a deal like that? Well, the NHS bosses in Calderdale did, I'll tell you. So we say to those companies, like Sodexo, like Compass, if you think you're going to come into the NHS and sign contracts, when we get a government in power that can kick out all of these PFIs, this is the compensation you'll get. Nout. You'll get nothing back from us, because they are leeching off the National Health Service, trying to make a profit out of people who are lying in bed ill and unable to look after themselves. That's not the principle of the National Health Service. So we say, kick out the private finance initiatives with no compensation to these private companies. Here's something else we demand, which we demanded on our march in London in 2017, when there were 250,000 of us marching to save the NHS. We want decent pay for all staff in the NHS.
Yes, indeed.
And you have to endure 7 years of pay restraint by a government that's more interested in austerity than it is in the ordinary lives of working people. So decent pay for staff and kick out the private agencies. You will have seen people coming in, working alongside nurses who are on different terms and conditions, who are employed by agencies. Last year, the NHS spent £10 million to agencies, and yet there's a 55,000 shortage of staff in the NHS. These facts and figures don't end up, but that's another private company that's doing well out of our NHS. And the last thing we demand is a properly funded National Health Service where we spend at least 14%, which is the European average, at least 14% of our gross domestic product on the National Health Service, and not the miserable 7% we spend at the moment. We will go back to an American system if we don't stand up and fight for the NHS. I can guarantee you that. But if we all stand up and fight for the NHS, we will return it to the star-studded service that it was when it was set up in 1948. And I go one step further, which isn't the policy of health campaigns together, but I'm going off script. I want to see this Tory government kicked out of office. We're allegedly non-political health campaigns together, but I'm afraid I take it one step further. Kick out this Tory government, and we want a government returned that is going to look after the National Health Service. You shouldn't have to be out on strike at the moment. You should be in there looking after patients and services, but you've no strike, you've no alternative but to strike to defend the NHS. And together we can win. I'm absolutely convinced, having seen your picket line, and like Tony, I was on picket lines in '84 with the miners. I've never seen picket lines like this today. Of course you're going to win. Them lot in there are absolutely terrified.
Yes, yes.
Right,
Later,
there's one more speaker they've got, and you know,
Yes.
I think I want to say a few thank you. We can't get too congratulatory because we've got to go. We have to win. We've got to keep at this, and we've got to get the win. But we're in a good place now, and you know, I know that a lot of people. It's been really lovely to hear some of the compliments that people have been giving Jane. I know she's done a wonderful job, Jane. I'm really proud of her. I think that, you know, again, Natalie's not here, she's representing somebody in an appeal at the moment, but she's fought all the way with the negotiations in terms of trying to stop this and trying to put a brake on this for the last 2 years, and will continue to do so. But I want to pay credit to the next speaker, actually. You might be a bit amazed that I'm going to do that. But there's somebody who's been batting on this and building this for 2 years, is your leader, your branch secretary, it's Ami Singh. Ami is one of the best branch secretary we've got in the region. He's also occasionally the biggest pain in the arse, I won't say anything. On more than one occasion, but I mean, the one thing that Ami does, he is constantly, has not let this go. He's basically been, demanding that the union moves as one. He's not scared to ask for support right from the top. He doesn't respect people's hierarchy or his positions, nor should he. He basically fights for you and has done for 2 years. It's been the single most important reason, really, why we've got this off the ground. He's demanded that we put resources into the hospital, like Jane, to talk to people that didn't know what was going on. So I'm going to ask Annie to say a few words about what's been going on this week and hopefully where we go next. So I'll give you Annie.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm not going to say too much because my throat's absolutely ripped to shreds with that megaphone not being used the last couple of days. But you know, I do want to pay tribute to everybody because you've been absolutely amazing the last couple of days. The amount of support that you've given this campaign out there from R5 every morning, been absolutely fantastic. So I just want to say a big thank you really to everybody, and I think you all should be very proud of yourselves. I think what we're also got to remember is that we're not actually asking for a lot as part of this campaign. All we're asking for is for things to stay as they are. You know, we're not asking for millions of pounds, or we're not asking for any major big things. All we're saying is that we want to stay in the NHS. We want to remain 100% NHS, and that's all we're saying that we want. We don't want anything more than that. And that's the message that we've got to keep putting forward. That's the message we've got to keep making to the Trust. If by the end of this week we still haven't got the Trust to listen to our...
Go another week!
We've seen the Facebook pages, we've seen the photographs, we've seen how that Trust, that hospital now is turning into an environmental hazard, an environmental death trap. That's what it's looking like to me. It's what it's looking like to a lot of people. If after this week we cannot get the Trust to back down, then we will be reballoting members for further industrial action. So, thank you all again very much for your support, and we'll see you all again in the morning. Thank you.
Right, one last thing before we go. We have to think about where we go next. We have to think about where we go next. Could well be that we get to the end of this week, and because of all their predictions that were wrong, they give up. I think what giving up looks like is something like they did in mid-Yorkshire. In mid-Yorkshire, they didn't say, we're never going to do this again, sorry, and you were right all the time. What they came back and said, we're suspending it indefinitely. They came out and they've never gone anywhere near it since. So that's what winning looks like in the NHS world. They might say that they suspend it for a year. Now, again, that's a big win, because if they come back and say we're never going to do it again,